Everybody, hopefully you are doing well. Looks like my music auto fade still isn't functional, but we will sort that out one of these days. The change over to buttons has been great. We just haven't done absolutely everything, and I'm going to actually do a little bit of that today, which is I don't know. I know the description in the show was pretty weak, so. Let me exaggerate on what we are going to cover, but first let me check the YouTube feed and just make sure that it is going up there, because what would be the point? And last time I was muted. Now vMix says I'm going out, so hey, all right, there it is. All right, cool. I do have my little audio alarm set up from last show. Thank you, Zen Router, for making such a thing. But basically, you can watch an NDI feed, which vMix outputs NDI from my main output, which is actually how I watch the show. I'll get into some of this about monitoring things and sources, running multiple machines, and making sure that it's all big and visible. Actually, it's pretty slick the way that it works, but I'll get into that. But vMix outputs audio, an NDI signal, and on there is the audio signal from my system. And so if for some reason it were to die or stop transmitting, after about 7 to 10 seconds, I would be notified via a beeping noise in my ear. And probably on the stream as well. So best not screw it up and just shoot for the best. But monitoring audio here, I can see it in Studio Monitor. I also have Zen Router. Oh, I was going to throw that up there for you so you could see it. Outputs. Here we go. So thank you, Zen Router, for creating a no audio meter. What's nice is you can pick any NDI source on your network as long as your computer can see it. It can monitor that audio source. Now, the next question I have is, can I run multiple instances? I sure can. Well, that's pretty sweet. So if we had another source, like I know, for example, VLC, on the other machine brings in music. And so that machine is still playing, but I'm not too sure. It's actually not seeing that source. Let's try that one more time. Maybe it doesn't do just strict audio. Guess not. Maybe it doesn't run. Are they running on the same ports? No, they're different ports. Oh, audio is good to go. So there you go. So the music that I play pre and post show is now being read by Zen Router on just a different port. So it's still on the network. It's actually talking to the machine next door. Not next door. It's right here. Next door to my desk. And it can see that music playing without it being on in the show. So I've got it muted in vMix. And this is my output now from this microphone and from vMix, and then this is the audio from the other machine. So it's kind of neat that you can run 2 instances of this, and that's really helpful, which then in theory means that you could run a whole bunch of them if you wanted to. You could open it 6 or 7 times and monitor all sorts of audio feeds, and it gives you a little proxy view of your output as well. So that's, I guess I don't even need to say it. What do I need to say here? Where are my sound effects? Here they are.
That's pretty neat.
That is pretty neat, and I love it. So let me now get back to basics here. We're going to fade back to little old me. And there's something I do want to mention here from yesterday's show, Tom Sinclair's show. He said, and I'm probably taking him way out of context, but he said that new Open Media Transport Standard, OMT, is his words, better than NDI because it is so adaptable in terms of what you need, what it can provide network wise. So he had a high, bandwidth stream running, and it choked his 1 gig network card. But then he turned it down to medium, and it was only running like at 60%. And then he turned it down to low, and it was running at like 10 megs. It's like so small. So vMix now supports that standard inside vMix 29, which version of I have vMix 28. So vMix 29 has apparently this OMT method, and I'm going to have to need to get into it because I don't know much about it. And if Tom says that it works really well, then, that's saying something. So it is nice that we're getting a little bit of competition. It makes everybody pull their socks up. I've always said that. I never get nervous about other competing, like 2110 and NDI and, HD base and all of these different video IP protocols. Dante even has a video protocol now. I don't get nervous about the future of NDI or any other protocol. I think this will make us have to be better, and that's a good thing. It means that I'm actually hypothetical me being a manufacturer of a standard has to pull up my socks, and I have to be accountable, which is good. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing to be accountable. Hey, there's no one here but us chickens. What's going on, Chad? Good to see you. Thank you for popping by today. If the opposite of pro is con, what is the opposite of progress? Oh, that's sad. My brain said it, and I was like, be careful what words come out of your mouth, and there you go. That's actually hilarious. Well done. Well done. A great thing about standards is that there are so many to choose from. Yeah, which I guess doesn't really set much for standard, but it does allow you to pick your poison and go with it, meaning that you will be able to hopefully go into a purchase with your eyes open, right? So if you're going to go in, if you're going to start with this OMT standard, or if you're going to go with NDI, or you're going to go with Dante Video, any of those standards, there are resources now, thankfully, now that we're almost at the 10-year mark for NDI. Thankfully, we are this far along where there are resources provided by the maker themselves, by NDI, and you can go and get certified, which, by the way, I have started doing. So there's first announcement, I guess. I am level 2 Dante certified, which doesn't mean a whole lot, and level 1 NDI certified. I'm certified, everybody. There you go. That's the quote of the day. Yeah, no, you can actually go and officially get those certificates if you'd like to add those to your LinkedIn profile. So that's one thing I've been up to late last week and this week, starting to get into that. Those courses are not necessarily just a brush-off course. Even the first Dante level required you to pay attention. And I got to that quiz and was like, oh, this is a real deal. Like, I need to really focus here. So the Dante one was good. NDI Basics, that one I was able to audit. I was able to take the test without needing to take the first level course because, given my history, I knew the answers to the basic questions. I will take the coursework on the next levels if they are offered. I haven't really looked into that. Dante, and then Netgear AV over IP switches. I started getting those certifications, and man, that's been a great refresher course. What's that guy? Is it Gus? Man, he is an excellent teacher, and so is the NDI or NDI, yes, but so is the Dante one as well. Both Dante and Netgear have been very pleased with their online content and their courses. So if you haven't done it and you've got a spare afternoon, you can go ahead and take one or several, or I don't know how much free time you have, if any. Many of you have no free time, which is why there's so many of you in this show in the middle of the day on Thursday. So I have been getting those certifications. They're good for 3 years, and I feel really good about that. I think that that'll be helpful. I really want to understand Dante like I understand NDI, and thankfully I have some friends in the industry that worked directly with Dante, and they have been very generous with their time. Also, the training course has been very helpful. So, very happy to do that. I have a small Dante audio environment set up at the soundstage, and so that was kind of my baptism, we'll say, into the Dante world. And then now that I'm taking the course, I'm realizing, oh, the way I did it is the standard way, but there are better ways. And so I'm pretty excited to continue my education down that road as well. So bravo, Audnate, and bravo, Netgear, for your certification programs. They're actually quite good. So did you hear that Unify Submarine announced an AV-specific line for switches, all in black, in the background of their NAS announcement? No, I did not. So Unify has been dancing around this for a while. And I'm excited, again, for competition because I think Unify has already gotten the whenever I type in Unify AV over IP, it comes in as VoIP, not AV line. Let's do that. Did you mean AC Lite? Which is no. Oh, here we go. Unify Pro Max switches have now built-in Pro AV traffic optimization with QoS for Dante, QSync, Shure, NDI, Crestron, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so where bite that announcement? Pro AV switch. They're all black. Yeah, okay, here they are. Reddit has it. So they look like the AV, or they look like the Unify switches. They're just in black, which is fine. I think that that'll be pretty cool to have some competition. Here's the thing about Unify that I'm not too sure about. With Unify. I have not great confidence in the backplane of Unify. And the reason why I say that is because I like Unify. I have two concerns. The first is I have watched the backplanes of those Gen 2 switches, not the Gen 1s. The ones with the little LCD screens, those Gen 2 switches. I have watched AV installations on those, and they're good for like 6 to 8 months. And then the electronics catch on fire. And that's not a statement. That's only anecdotal. But I know of 3 separate switches that were running AV stuff now, and they're not their AV line, so I don't know anything about that. But the white ones, the Gen 2s, that were primarily software driven, those ones just were not able to handle the packet requirements of full NDI, and that's what it was. That's what we were testing it on back then. So it wasn't me that burned them up. It was a couple of friends that I have who did some extensive testing on Unify. Now, if the Gen 1 switches, right, those old school ones that had like the square gateway and they had an 8-port, but they had some nice like Gen 1, those ones were all hardware process. And those ones seem to be able to keep up just fine. And so I hope that the AV world, their AV ones, are not software driven, that they're hardware driven, and they go back to that because that'd be great. I mean, I would be all about wanting to test that out and seeing how that works. Now, my other concern with Unify, and just put it out there, is they seem to get on. They're all excited about something. They're all excited about something new that they announce. And then they kind of, never mind. And they kind of like let it go away. for example, I did an installation of their Unify Protect system back in, it's got to be 10 years ago now. And, well, two examples here. So I did their Unify Protect system, and I installed cameras in a closed camera situation, all IP based. I have Unify. I had Unify cameras. I don't anymore, but put them all in, got them up and running. I even did an installation for another guy at his shop, and they were quickly outmoded. We'll put it that way. They got onto this weird life cycle where it was like, I think it was 2 years, and then they weren't writing firmware for them anymore. There was those bullet cameras that they had long ago, and then they switched to like these little globes, and then they switched to they added and took away support for the cameras that I felt like, okay, these are reputable, they've been around for a while, the firmware is stable, let's go ahead and install them. Shortly after I did that, they rolled out a new camera line and announced the end of life. And that really bothered me because I thought I was buying a product that was going to be, I guess, supported for a while, and I thought wrong. Same thing with their access points long ago, again, 10 years ago now. And you can tell how I haven't kept up with Unify because I haven't bought their stuff in a while, mostly because it didn't perform well for me 10 years ago, which is not fair because they've probably made big changes and whatever. But with Unify, I had their access points, their Unify APs. This was back in the days of Wi-Fi 4. These were the AC models. So AC, N, A, B, G, all those were running. And we had, at the school I was working at, we had this really terrible Wi-Fi system. Okay, terrible. It was so bad. First of all, it wasn't a single SSID at all. The person who had put it in had basically not been given a budget, so it wasn't her fault, and was doing what she could, but it was awful. And we bought a bunch of these. We were given a bunch of these Cisco business class access points. Well, they were the one before AC, which was what, ABG and N? Yeah, N. So they were Wi-Fi N, and that was 802.11n. And that, when we went to the Unify system with the AC speeds, it was a huge upgrade. And the students at the school were very pleased for about 4 months. And then the speed sucked again, So we did a ton of work. I spent the whole summer changing the entire campus over to a Unify system. And it was okay. This was back in the day where you ran the controller via software and yada, yada, yada. But it was all right. But again, after about 6 months, the students weren't particularly happy, and you weren't going to ever please the students because they were always going to want bigger, better, faster, everything. But the units really started to struggle. They overheated a lot. They got really hot. They were PoE, which was beautiful because you could plug in. Well, we didn't have PoE switches back then, but we had injectors. And so we traced the line back, plugged in the injector. That came with the AP, as I recall. And then it would power just by plugging in the Ethernet. And that was beautiful. So easy to install, difficult to manage, difficult for people. They didn't get the roaming thing down very well. And so when the kids were walking down the hallways or moving buildings, it struggled a little bit. And this was in the early days of 5 gig. So in the early days of mass production of 5 gig. So anyway, we eventually went to a Ruckus system shortly thereafter. Probably a year later, the president of student council got up and was like, I'm going to fix this Wi-Fi problem. And we had a proposal for a Ruckus Wi-Fi system on the desk of the executives for like 8 months. And then the president came over and said, what's this Wi-Fi problem I'm hearing about? And I said, well, it would be addressed in the proposal that we gave you 6 months ago. It should be sitting on the CEO's desk or CFO's desk. And he said, I haven't seen a proposal. Print it out for me. So I printed it out. It was like $120,000, and he signed it in my office. I was like, oh, if it's that easy to get approved. Now, to save the school money, of course, we offered to do the install ourselves, which Ruckus was not happy about because they make their money on the labor. But we bought all these units. They showed up on pallets, and we started swapping out Unify units one for one. We put in the controller. We had a Ruckus controller. Man, how did I get off on this? And then the Ruckus controller had some time with Ruckus booked to have them set it up for us, basically do a little bit of training. And then I went around with student workers, and we plugged in Ruckus access points and got it going. And by then I was the network administrator. So when I did the Wi-Fi stuff for Unify, I was the tech admin, and then I had been promoted to network admin, and then the Wi-Fi problem was my problem. So yeah, that was some fun. There's some fun history of my experience in the field. They have 100 gig ports. Oh wow, that's fun. I mean, that would be an amazing backbone, as long as it's hardware driven. Like I said, if the processes are happening through hardware and not through software, then I'm all about it. That would be fun. We're on Gen 5 Unify now. Pro Enterprise, Pro Max, and Pro XG. Very cool. Very cool. I've heard good things, honestly. I did another Unify Protect system for a warehouse, and that was a fun project. I did that with a buddy of mine. Actually, the guy that I did the Ruckus project with, he was my boss at the time. And then him and I did this video camera system. And that one had like a DVR and everything. And I was really impressed with the Unify system, the integration with the app and stuff. I wish it was a little better on the computer, but that was kind of a cool little project. All right. Today's non-sponsor, by the way, is Kibo Group. These are guys that do good work in Uganda? Uganda. But they basically employ a ton of people in Africa and grow coffee, and then they ship it to the States and sell it to college kids. So there you go. Here's a way to provide employment. And the coffee itself, unfortunately, is not Kibo coffee. But thankfully, it's Tim Hortons, so we're getting away with it. All right, so a couple of announcements that I want to talk about real quick. Keep the chat going there, Chad. I appreciate you doing all the heavy lifting over there in the chat. So a couple of things I want to talk about, just to kind of button things up here. So we'll talk about buttons in a second because I've made some alterations, and also I've made some... I'm trying to figure out my workflow, like how I want to use it. I have discovered last show we talked about those little like subsections that you can create called popovers. The only issue with it is if you make a popover, you can't use the buttons to the left of the popover. So if the popover is in the middle of your Stream Deck, you're limited to the buttons that are remaining on the right-hand side, which kind of sucks because I want to use all 15 buttons. And so I'm still I think I'm going to stick with the section jumping option, and we'll edit that today. If you press a button, it goes to the section, and then there's a back button that takes you back to the home screen. That is how I think I'm going to use it. I've been using the popovers for a week, and it's okay. It has a cool little like like it shows it on the screen, but I want more real estate, and I have the real estate. It's literally just a configuration. So I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to stick with that instead of using popovers, just because if it was just a simple little button, that only had one or two things, maybe. But of course, if I have open buttons, I'm going to figure out something to put there because that's just how I work. That's how I roll. So we will talk about all that in a moment. I'm going to... Excuse me, I got the hiccups. I'm going to close this stuff down real quick. One quick little update that I have that is kind of exciting is I got a phone call yesterday that the builder for my garage/new studio is going to be on site next week. And so he's going to show up. The materials are being shipped hopefully Monday. And if they arrive on Monday, that's great. Tuesday is kind of a tricky day because I actually need to be in Brentwood. But if they show up on Monday, he's going to start on Wednesday. And if they show up on Wednesday, he's going to start on Thursday, but he will start next week. So the trusses are sitting outside still, sitting in the sun now. So hopefully they're not damaged or anything. And I have maybe talked to him into creating that wall for me for my office to separate part of the garage to make it my office. So pretty excited about that. Looking forward to that happening. And I'm going to take pictures along the way, and it's going to be great. So we are going to get after moving. It's going to be expensive. But it's going to be fun. And hopefully it doesn't completely drain my bank account, which I'm predicting it will. But once it's up, my truck will have a home, which it's never had a home. My vehicle that my wife and I own the vehicles jointly, okay? We own them together. They are ours. There is no his and hers. But the vehicle I drive the most is the F-150. Now, I would love it if Holly wanted to drive the F-150 and take that thing to school because do it. That'd be great. A little heavier on gas, but she has a Ford Explorer, a 2017, that she thinks is big enough for her. So she's also a petite lady, so we don't need to overwhelm her with massive trucks. But, you know, if she wants a truck, I wouldn't say no. But anyways, the whole premise of this is she's kind of happy with the size of vehicle that she has. And we are going to have storage in this new garage in the form of an attic space. And so all of the stuff that's living in our garage, because space is a premium here. You should see this room. There's stuff everywhere. Space is a premium. And so we're going to have storage and a lot of it, which is amazing. So we're going to put the things that are being stored in the garage up in the attic. And then we're going to store cars in our garages. Imagine that. So cars are going to go in our garage spaces, and my truck is going to have a home, and I'm going to have an office, which means that all this gear is going to also go outside. So pretty excited about that. So that is starting next week, and that's going to be a labor of love for quite a while. I would love to have insulation and walls up by Christmas if I could afford it. That's probably being pretty ambitious, to be honest with you. But, you know, we shall see. We shall see. I do need to create 2 rooms. I need to create my office space and then divide that office space into another little room that's going to be a quiet recording space. So this project's going to be sweet. I'm very excited about this, and we'll take pictures along the way, and I'll update you guys while I'm on the show. So one of these days we're going to be doing the show out there, but I need to run network, run electrical, run plumbing, all that stuff. So it is exciting. Getting out of the ground is the hardest part of construction. Yes, there is a pad built out there. So the concrete's done. The piping is done that went through the pad for the water and for the drain. So those are both, they're not connected to the system yet. I've got to do all of this. But like I said, if I take one or 2 projects a week and chip away at it, then this time next year I'll definitely be in there. Even if the quiet room's not done, that's going to take a little bit more time. But if I can get drywall, insulation, drywall, electrical, lighting, the plumbing needs to be done. If I can get those things hashed out, then yeah, we're in good shape. Like, I'm also going to build a bit of a workshop in the garage on one side, where I inherited a lot of my father's shop tools. He had a shop in his backyard, and then he moved to a condo and was like, I don't have a place for all these tools, so they need to go, or I need to sell them, or whatever. So I have a drill press, I have a table saw, I have a whole bunch of stuff. Well, I've never had a proper place for it. So this is the chance to do that and build that. And I think, again, in the future, this will be a few years out, but they will all have homes, which will be super nice. So excited about that. So the garage is finally we're finally getting some movement on that, and that'll be happening next week. All right. What is going on here? Okay. All right, let's keep going. So let's have this conversation about buttons because I want to show you how it's set up right now, and then we're going to actually go through some customization of things and change it. So this will be a good. I've decided that this is the way that I want to do this. So there are two different ways of doing, as far as I can tell, two logical ways. You can do something called popovers, which when you click this button, it opens up some buttons that I customized. And here you'll notice the popover opens up these this available section. So there's 6 buttons that I can program in this section. You can make it a little smaller if you want, but you can't make it bigger. Okay, it's basically limited to these 6 buttons. So that's fine if the popover's here, because look, I get basically the whole thing. I lose 2 buttons, but I keep a 4:3 screen. The issue is that I think I would still prefer that when I click on the vMix, I just go to like a vMix section. And that can easily be created by creating a 15 button 5:3, right? So we got 5:3 here. 5:3. Maybe I got to get rid of this back button first. Confirm. All right, so 5:3. And we say section. And all I can do here is I can rename this. Whoops. Come on now. Section. And I'm just going to call this vMix. And when I click the vMix button, I want it to jump over here to this section. Now, one thing to note when you create a section, it gives it a color. I recommend getting rid of that because I've already customized these colors and I don't want them to change. And then I can just highlight these buttons, say copy. Actually, I should say cut is what I should say. I should cut and I should paste. And now I can move these around however I want. So we could just move these around however I want. No, okay, so we're going to cut and we're going to paste so that they are in logical places that I want. So we're going to cut this and we're going to paste this because these are my pre-show buttons essentially. So if I do this, you just one at a time and you can move them around. So like this, so pre-show, start show, post-show, right? These are my on-off options. So if I'm turning on the external like USB camera, webcam, if I want to record this, or if I want to turn on full screen, which would turn on full screen here, then I can just click that button. That's second row. And then third row is my transition. So just cut and fade are my standards. So now if I close this little popover button, I can convert this to something else. So I'm going to delete this button. I'm going to create this button. And I want to make it look like my, what it did look like. So this is a little vMix button, context background. Going to say, well, not that blue. It was this blue. So vMix is this color. And now the action that I want to take is when I press this button, I want it to go to section, and this should be under internal, assign surface to position. All right. And you want to say current surface, and then we want to count the lines starting with 0. So don't, excuse me. So it's a 5:3. And so you would think that this is button 6, but this is position 5 because as a programmer, remember, this is position 0. On the grid, this is 0, 0. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is position 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Position 10 is what I want. So now if we go here, current surface, on the x-axis, I want you to change the grid location to 10. And we want to copy our back button, which is just go back to grid location 0. We want to copy this, and I want to paste this. I'm going to hit apply. And now my vMix popover is changed to a page. If I click it, it shows all the buttons just like this. It goes to position 10, shows these buttons with some blanks on the on the right-hand side. And then if I click back, it goes back to that home screen. That way I get the full real estate of all 15. I may be doing something wrong in terms of like, oh, there's a way to just like go to page 2. Fine. But this way I can see all my buttons listed out in one grid like this. I can zoom out there so I can see all my sections, right? So sound effects is actually already set up this way. I'd never changed that. So that's just another page. But the audio is a button that, or is a popover that needs to be changed. So we're going to set this up. Right click section. And we're going to go properties, no color, please. Then I'm going to open popover. And this is kind of a cool, this is a cool little set of buttons, which I can show you in a second. Cut and paste. And that, is this something so far? Nothing. Okay, so I'll delete this one because it's not being used. All right. And then this little button here that says popover, I'm just going to get rid of that. So delete the popover. And now we're going to create, or what you can do actually is just copy this one and say paste. And now all of the options are in place, and all we got to do is change the properties and where it jumps to. So instead of here, we would type in audio. We would just change this to orange because that's what my audio stuff is. And we go down to actions, and we're going to change the grid. Now here, we're going to position 5, but we're also going to 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 5x, 3y. And now, if I hit apply and I press the audio button, boom, it just shows me this section of buttons. So it's a great way to keep things organized. You just operate in sections, and it's really easy to set up. This is not difficult at all. Once you know the process, then yeah, it's super simple. So let's go ahead and do a ProPresenter version. This is this section right here. We will highlight again here. So let's copy these buttons, or cut, however you'd like to do that, and paste. When you paste them, obviously it takes them from a group of 4 and it puts them across the top, which is fine. I will probably move these down to like this, previous slide, next slide, because that's how we operate at the soundstage with those buttons at the bottom. I want to talk about ProPresenter as well, because there's some interesting stuff with that some great little flexibility that we should talk through. So now we can change. Is there a way to actually copy paste and just change the parameters of this? No, it's not easy to do. So let's just delete that. We are going to copy this one. We're going to paste it here. And first we're going to change the actions, right, to 10.3. And then we'll go up here and we'll just change the properties of this to be purple, because that's my ProPresenter number or color. And then PP7 is my shorthand for ProPresenter. Now we could do something like ProPresenter, like this maybe. Yeah, that's cleaner. That's fine. I don't mind it. But if we hit apply, always remember, however, that you need to copy and paste a back button, because I'm currently on a screen that doesn't have a back button. Okay, so the previous slide, this guy needs to go here, and then we need to paste like that, just because I want it standard on all of my screens. And then we can rename this section ProPresenter 7. Like that. Boom. Sections get named correctly. vMix, this one needs to be named. This is just audio, which is like all things audio for the show. Section 3. This is going to be my NDI tab, and I'll talk more through that in just a second. What else? What other popovers do I have? Lights. Okay, so now we're going to create one more section. Whoops, too big. One more section. We're going to call it lights. We're going to remove the color. We're going to paste a back tab so that it looks the same. We're going to open the popovers, and we're going to... Ooh, could I just drag each of these buttons down here? No, because it's in a popover, so you can't do it. All right, so copy and paste. Now, I'm having a bit of an issue with this and with the lights. Copy. We're going to paste. I want to say that this property is green. And I want it to be called lights. There we go. And we're going to apply. Boom. Got my back button. We're going to go to my lighting section. Oh. This button took me to the wrong place. So actions back 0, 0. Why did... Oh, I know why. From here. So now 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Axis 6, Y 0. Okay. Hit apply. Now when we click lights, it really jacks things up. No, because I put it on the wrong. I put it here. This is it's X and Y. So wrong way, John. So 6 is here and X is 0. See, this is why you come to the show. Boom. Now it's working. Because you watch me fumble through it and get it wrong, and then you don't have to feel bad when you get it wrong. And you can say, look, this guy, he even got it wrong. Oh, that Kibo cup, however, does not keep Kibo my coffee warm. That's unfortunate. Okay, so let's keep going. My lights, let's just see. Are these talking now? No. I am really annoyed with this Elgato mini light. It is very frustrating because it keeps disconnecting itself from my network, and it doesn't show up like it's supposed to. And so, like, what? I've got to add it manually, or what's the dealio? Actually, that might work. Add IP manually. Okay, let's jump over. This is a little sidebar trip. You're welcome, everybody. This one's for free. We're going to go over to my DHCP and find out what the IP address has been assigned to this light. Matter of fact, it should be here under connections. So let's go connection, fill light, config. 7718 is technically what it should be. So we're going to just go ahead and copy. We'll paste it, connect. Now, there is a chance that the light has changed IP addresses for some reason. And if that's true, then that's probably why it's not communicating. So let's go ahead and take a look at the DHCP just for fun. I believe it's on a DHCP reserved address. But you're noticing here all the errors, the timeout errors, that it is not connecting. And it's not connecting here inside of this as well. So likely we have an IP conflict, or we have an error with the IP. Let's go ahead and just... Come on. Boy, this is slow today. I wonder what the deal is. Connection, fill light, error request, timeouts. So yeah, it's an IP issue. So if I just type in key, I believe I labeled it. Yeah. Key light is now different. Key light mini? Wait. Oh, it's the fill light mini 77123. And it's connected to the living room access point? Why? That's so far away. So we're going to go into the config and we're going to give it a fixed IP. And we're going to call it 123 is the fixed IP that it's going to take. That's so strange that it's not. Is the other light on a fixed IP? It should be. Yeah, permanent. Okay, well, that is why this is not working. Because 123. Save. Save status, okay. So let's try this again. It reports in at that IP address, so it should connect. Maybe it won't. Now let's try this. Hey-oh, it took the command. Why? All right, well, apparently it wasn't listed. Oh, connected to unknown successfully. All right, so they are now both in here. Okay, lights fixed. Apparently, I just need to sit down for 2 hot seconds and think it through. Maybe the IP address is wrong. Now we're on a fixed IP from the DHCP reservation list, which, by the way, is still my go-to. And I'm getting confirmation lights inside of buttons showing me that it is working. So here is that screen again, and just so that we can have some confidence, what I've done is when I press the button, it turns off the connection from BitFocus Buttons, and then when I release it, it tries to reconnect. And so it will go red when I press it, and when I release it, it turns it back on and starts looking for it, like a refresh option. And I have that for both of my lights. But now you have to have the right IP address for the light in order for that to work. And the feedback option on this is when I am disconnected, it will be gray, like this little picture here. And when I'm connected to it, it will look like this with a green background. Now, there are a bunch of other options in here too, which should be listed. Connection failure, crash, error. You could set up all different options for this, but really, the only time that I want it to report green is when it's working. All other problems, I want it to report gray. So there's that. And we can do the same thing here. So connecting, crashed, error. Oh, now this one is actually a little bit different. Key light shows red. Let's look. What's going on here? So the key light status goes a red top, black background. So let's keep that consistent and do. I just put. Oh no, that's right. Connection failure, black background, red. And then when it's green, green and green. Perfect. So if you want to test it, by the way, you can just hit invert and it will show it. So, I got to turn this one off. So there, that's what it looks like when it fails. And then this is what it looks like when it's working. And same thing here. We will turn this one off and invert. That's what it looks like when it fails. And that's what it looks like when it's working. Very good, very good. All right, so that's the lights. Now, when I press the lights button, it should turn them off, send the off command. And when I press it, it should turn them both on. So that is now functioning as well. So we're going to hit apply, make those changes. All right, let's talk about my little NDI tab. Now, it says Bird Dog Connect, but that's actually now changing to just NDI. And I'm going to leave it as just a white banner, I think. You know, maybe not. Maybe we'll pick a fun color for NDI. NDI has what about this? That's cute. All right, maybe that, or maybe a little lighter. No, that's not. I don't like. No, get out of here. Ooh, a little darker. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and change. You know, I don't really want to change this. Let's just apply, and I'm going to go back on my screen. Cool. So anything NDI related, and this is going to be Bird Dog Connect, and this is going to be Studio Monitor and whatever else. All right. So anytime that I want to do anything NDI related, we are going to press that button. Hey, you don't have a hair light? I don't, and that will probably come with the next studio. but I'm just doing 2-point lighting right now, and that is all I'm doing. So the only have the 2 lights. They've been okay. They have been kind of a nightmare to keep connected to whatever these Elgato ones, but maybe I'll get a third one. I don't know. I like them all being on the same system. I just don't like their inconsistencies. See, the color lights that are the RGBs that are on my back wall, I can tell my home automation system via voice command to turn those off and on. So that's handy, and they have an app to change the color. But I do kind of like just being able to press a button and shut them off. You know, it's convenient that way. Maybe that will have fixed. Yeah, that fixed now. The lighting commands for the beginning and end of the show. You may have noticed that on the vMix tab, there were some errors. It was the lights because they couldn't send the command to shut the light off. So there you go. All right, so we no longer have any popovers. Let me tell you a couple of things about the NDI stuff because I've been kind of running into it here recently. By recently, I mean today. So Studio Monitor has a module inside Buttons and inside Companion that basically can act as something that can trigger a source inside Studio Monitor, change it, or can give you feedback or both. So when I do this show and I am on camera, I am looking at myself in a confidence monitor on my other computer. So it's watching the vMix output, and I'm making sure I'm positioned correctly and the microphone's close enough and I, don't look silly or something. It's more silly than normal. And so I can position myself, and I've learned how to talk to the confidence monitor. Actually, I did this at Bird Dog, and the lens is on the other side of there. And so I'm a big believer of talking to your audience, talking with your audience. If somebody asks you a question, be sure to talk to them. That is better for connection and communication, I think, my own personal preference. And so learning to talk into a confidence monitor is great. Learning to do it as a one-man band is one level more because people don't like to look at themselves when they talk. They don't like to hear themselves, and they don't like to look at themselves. But as a guy that's trying to do framing and making sure the room looks correct and all of that, and that it's not a distraction, or that like something's in the frame that I wasn't planning on being in the frame, if I got junk on my desk or whatever, or this water bottle is sitting on camera. Like there's lots of things that you can do by just looking at your own image, and it makes sure that you're connected. And then when I turn this way, vMix is open, and so I can see vMix and monitor myself on this side as well. So when I am running the show, my old computer is generating most of my NDI sources on my network. So the camera that's behind my confidence monitor is going into a little program that's turning that USB source into a NDI source. And that source is coming across to Discovery Server, which is running on this computer, this server, which is in the bottom chassis. And I'm bringing that into vMix. And then vMix is generating an output and sending it back onto my network. And that computer, that screen right there, is running Studio Monitors, watching that as well. So back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, right? There are also screen shares. There are videos. You saw that the audio is being played in VLC on that secondary computer. Okay, there's a fourth monitor up here, and it's running. It's actually it's got an HDMI switcher on it, so I can see multiple computers for it. But there's a HDMI switcher. It's showing right now that computer screen, and it's running VLC, so it's a dual monitor situation. So there's lots going on, and I think I'm finally comfortable with it. I think I'm finally like used to how it's all set up. Well, inside of Studio Monitor, inside of Buttons, you can tell it, hey, when Studio Monitor's on, watch what source it is. And if I press this button, I want you to change the source. And so I can press this button right. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. I can press this button right here. This button is the Studio Monitor program on that second computer. And when I press it, it will change the source to whatever else I've indicated. So output 1 is that program that's taking my camera USB source and converting it into output 1, which is my camera source that's coming across the vMix. And so when I press it, it changes it to output 1. Now, I've also added on there a feedback option that when you see output 1, change it to, well, in this instance, the name of the output. Now, I don't particularly like that, and so I'm probably going to change that to, we go here to out1, and instead of telling me the NDI source, I'm just going to change this to, let's do, camera NDI. So this is now my camera that is a Canon RP is being converted into NDI source. And now every time that that's what's showing on Studio Monitor on the second computer, my little Stream Deck will tell me that. It'll say camera NDI. Now if I press it again, it changes it to my NVIDIA capture, which is actually the screen that you're seeing right now. So that's screen 3 on this machine, and that NDI source is coming through screen capture. Okay, so I'm using screen capture HX, and it's watching this screen so that I can demonstrate things on my computer. So when I press that, it shows me that screen on Studio Monitor. Okay, so the screen that you're seeing is full screen over there. And so then now, why would I want this? Well, when I'm doing, I need to tell you about this too. When I'm doing consultation work for AV over IP networks or whatever, I usually use this camera rig, but I don't use vMix necessarily. And so I'll use something like StreamYard or Teams or Zoom or whatever's preferred, and I'll put it full screen on this screen, and then I'll send this screen to that studio monitor. And that way, when I'm talking on Zoom or Teams, I can look at the guys on the other end, and I'm looking into my camera even when I'm listening to them, right? Again, back to that, we should be looking at each other. Well, confidence monitors are the way to do that because you can look through the screen into the lens, and my eyes are looking at you. Now, I also have a camera confidence monitor right above, which shows my color grading and all of that stuff. I know, it's ridiculous. Maybe I should do it behind the scenes one of these days. I've done studio tours before, but anyways, this is it on and on and on. And I've got to move it all out to the garage whenever that gets done. But as I talk to guys on Teams, now they're on this screen as well, right? So it's kind of a waste of a screen, but at least then I can talk to them and I can look at them and it feels a little bit more natural to how it is that we're talking. So in the NDI tab, oh, I'm sorry, I just switched it. I didn't mean to do that. So in the NDI tab on the Stream Deck now, this button right here takes me down to this section. And when I press that Studio Monitor button here at the top, I can cycle between those three sources. Now, this computer doesn't run all the time. Screen capture doesn't run all the time. You know, so this is really only useful when Studio Monitor is up and running, and I'm using this system in a show like this, or if I'm in a Teams meeting or something like that. So there is that. Now, this other button that you probably noticed. This is Bird Dog Connect. This is the API for Bird Dog Connect, and I have been getting into the Bird Dog Connect like back end of things because we use it for our remote sessions for Safe Harbor for my job, my full-time gig. And what this button does is it reports whether or not that connection is up and running. And it is also an actuation button. So if I were to press it, it will actually start that connection with that source inside Bird Dog Connect. Okay, or it's supposed to. But you can click it, and the action on that is toggle that source on or off. All right, so I'm going to try it again here. Now, this is the copied version, so I'm not too sure. AgeWell Cam 4 encoder. It's supposed to be this one. Let's try one more time. Okay, so that's not working. So let's go and find out. Maybe something has changed inside of Bird Dog Connect. And it should be connect@birddog.com. Okay. All right, give me just a second here, and I will jump in, and we'll see what's going on. Oh, I see. Oh. Ha! Well, John just needs to cool his horses because, evidently, I'm going to move these fade buttons onto many of these. Evidently, it's already up and running. So this will be neat. I'm not on the effects page, so let's check this out. Let's see the. This is on cam 4 at my soundstage, which is just looking at the back wall. Essentially, is this running? Oh my gosh, that should not be running. It's just looking at the back wall of the. It's looking at the stage on the back wall. However, we automate our lights over there. Of course we do. And so I can turn on the system. And in theory, if the lights come up, we should be able to see the stage. Main Street on. And let's go to web stream. Oh, whoops. Oh. No, it's not that. Nah, nuts. Let's go back to my connections real quick. Let's just see the details on this. Is it actually sending anything? Let's just go one more time here because it should be up and running. It's well, all right. I got to find the password here for this thing because it's changed. Like I was saying before, though, I'm gonna add the vMix fade and cut buttons to all of the. Whoops. Yeah, well, that's cool. I'm gonna add these two buttons to everywhere because I need to jump around and jump around. Paste. We're going to paste this here. We're going to paste this on the home page. We're going to paste this here. And we're going to apply. All right, so now as I'm jumping about here, I can, yes. Okay, cool. All right, so let me just find my password for this. Hey-o. Put this in. That's not the right pin. Yeah. All right. Webster. Oh, sorry, everybody. I stopped talking. Okay. Copy. Got it. All right. Yay. All right. So now we can start this stream. And we're going to turn on Main Street. Boom. So, oh, you guys can't see that. So, boom, there it is. So we started our stream. And that is the stage right now. So watch this, okay? I'm going to press the button on the automation. Ready? 3, 2, 1, press. Isn't that so cool? That is 45 minutes away from my house. 3, 2, 1, press. And the lights come up. That is so stinking cool that is real. They also have an app. Bird Dog Connect does, which I got monkeying around with the other night. And so if I were to connect to this stream, now that I know the password, it is green. And whoa, oh, I can turn my own phone on as a source. That's fun. I may need to disconnect from this one so that I can access it here. Yep. So there is the soundstage that is currently on. And I guess I should probably make that full screen for you. That is coming across Bird.Connect. And it is really fast. Like it's a really great. Come on. How do I get out of this? There's no way to get out of it. All right, so I'm going to turn off Main Street now. Yep, that's up and running. Go. Let's just show this one more time. All right, turn off the lights. Boom, done. So that is so stinking fun that it's that easy to do. And get my show back up here. Back up in the YouTubes. Just make sure I can be heard. So yes, so we are up and running with Connect. And what's pretty neat about this is if I turn this on, oh, maybe I won't. I'll leave that off. Let's just look at the connections here. I have, see how on my, maybe I'll do this like 2 pages so that you guys can see both. Okay, check this out. So you see on my NDI right here, this guy. Can I close this? Oh, I can do that. Oh, nice, 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 nice. Okay. So on both pages, the main page and on my NDI page, it says that I'm connected. And if we go down here to ongoing, outgoing connections, we can see that it is connected. We can even pull up stats, show stats, and it will give me, you know, general stats as to how it's going. It's supposed to. Maybe because it's a black frame, it's nothing. I can turn on main. Well, nah. Anyway, it's up and running. And if I press that button, it stops it right away, which is pretty stinking sweet. And you'll notice that my report then says stopped. So I can start and stop the soundstage from a button, the remote from a button. And when you press it, it starts it. And when you press it, you stop it. And if I press it again, starting to connect, it's reported as stopped, and now it's connected. So that is super helpful in terms of being able to manipulate those. If you have a trial or whatever, or if you flat out have this thing, if you're paying for it and you have multiple connections and all that, like the amount of data that you send can add up over time, right? So let's go ahead and duplicate it for this RTMP stream. And I just created this because I was trying to send it to my TV, but I don't think my TV is compatible with the app. So that's a bummer. But let's go down here. We don't necessarily need this to report on the main screen, but maybe I'll add it there. So if I copy and I paste it here, okay, now we've duplicated the button. So I'm going to re-add this now to here and bring this full screen, put this back the way that it was. All right. So inside the inspector, we want on step 1, Bird.Connect, to see the Magewell encoder. That is the RTMP stream that you saw on that Connect screen. And we want to toggle that. That's when we press the button, it turns it on. Then we go to feedback and we say connection status. All right. And this one is currently stopped. However, I don't think this is not the connection I want. So if I go here and I go Bird.Connect, let's open this up. Connection status, Magewell encoder. Okay, oh, clear this first. Then Magewell encoder, done. Stopped. Cool. Then if I say clear this, and I say it again, right, because that's what it was. Oh, it's not selected the correct one. Be sure you select the correct encoder. Stop, stop. And this one, text, Bird.Connect, Magewell status, done. Okay, so Now, if there is connections, context background red, why red? Connection status, shouldn't this be off? Let's look at this one real quick. I'm not too sure why I have this here. It should actually just, this should not exist. I don't need the red one. I don't need this one. Confirm. Just report the status. And then, of course, we need the name to change because it's not soundstage. This is RTMP. All right. And then this one should be return feed, something like that. Okay. If we hit apply, okay, now they're both showing up on my screen. Now we go and we press the RTMP button. It reports that it has started. Connected. We go to bird.connect and sure enough, it's up and running. If I press it again, it stops it. Now we're going to start the other one. It's connecting. All right, it's up, and is it going to report connecting? Connected. And the RTMP now is listed as stopped. So we can verify, yeah, that it's working. If we press that button again, it should, oh, I didn't press it. If we press it again, it should stop that feed and then report back that it's been stopped. Let's just check. Whoops. Okay, it has stopped and stopped. So don't be too impatient. You might need to, take a beat and let it refresh its screen. I wonder if there isn't really like an initialization. This is just connection status. I wish that there was that it would show like starting stream or initializing stream or something like that, a way for BirdDog to report that. But I don't see that because inside here it's either started or stopped. There's no like initializing boot up phase. So all good. Pretty stinking cool though. Oh, and the other one that I was going to show you then is I'm going to copy this studio monitor and we're going to paste it here. I want to change, by the way, text disable font sizes. Whoa. And I want to say smalls. Extra smalls. Cool. Same here. Want to add text sizes to the options, and then I want to say extra small just because there's a lot going on here. Now, I don't have Studio Monitor running here yet, but I will. I'll turn it on. Okay. And here's Studio Monitor. And we're going to downsize that, and we're going to change this connection. Oh, whoops. I did this wrong. Delete. Confirm. So now we need to go and we need to, go ahead and save. Now we need to go ahead and add a second Studio Monitor connection, okay? So that is this one. If I enable it, it's going to be like, hey, it's not running, it's not running, it's not running. Well, you have to turn it on in order for it to run. If you close Studio Monitor, this is why I didn't have it enabled. If you close Studio Monitor, you get tons. You get 1 error per second. All right? So Studio Monitor needs to be on. And what we can do to get away with that is we can set a button to turn off the connection for both of these. So that we'll do that momentarily. But the host IP is just the local IP, so 127.0.0.1. And your default port is going to be port 80 on this, which is just wide open. And this needs to be on vMix machines so that you can differentiate between the PC, yoink, and the PC, which is that one, and the vMix one, which is this one. Okay? So be sure if you have multiple instances of the same connection, same module, label them appropriately. All right, back to then the buttons. And we're going to do two things. First, I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy and paste it. We've got the same, everything's the same, accessibility, everything. But instead of, oh, that's unfortunate. We can't change it. Select a connection vMix. Check. Boom. And then we're going to go here as well. Select a connection vMix. Check. Okay. So now it changes over all of the, well, that's the feedback stuff. But here, selecting sources. So we can tell it, I want you to select, vMix. I want you to select whatever when I press the button. Let's go back here to actions. Here it is. So change source vMix. Check. All right. Step 1, step 2, and step 3 all have to be changed. There we go. vMix output, Office output. Okay, so then when I hit apply, that button appears on my screen. That's white, so that's not helpful. But if I click it, I get a doubling first of all because I'm seeing my show. Then I can put my camera up here, or I can put my, what is this? Oh, my screen capture. So same options for vMix or for Studio Monitor. Okay. And the other thing I want to do, I need to do feedback stuff for this. So let's go to feedback so that the button looks correct. Extra small vMix output, vMix computer, vMix output. Okay, good. And Studio PC, no. vMix, check. And there it goes, green. We hit apply, goes green there. The only other thing is the name is wrong, so we're going to say properties, and we can change the name to vMix. Matter of fact, well, yeah, vMix. There's one thing here that's not quite right, and that is the font size on this. Feedback. Oh, you have to do it on all of them? I don't like that. Can I just change it here? No, I can't. Okay. So if you change the font size, see how the fonts are different sizes here? So if you change one, you got to set them all. So here, text font size. So button, add, text font size. Okay, and then I'm going to say extra small. And then here, add. Oh no. Add font size extra small. And we should do that with both. Okay. And we should apply as well. So as I cycle through here, this is not vMix output 1. This is my computer screen. Weird. It's this one. Active source name. Oh, because it's the wrong computer, that's why. vMix machine. So then we hit apply. Oh crap, because I'm adjusting the wrong one. Dang it. See? I told you, this is why you come here. Because you watch me screw it up. Okay, that's correct though. That says vMix. This is the source, man. Watch me screw it up, and then you don't have to. It's the great thing about this. All right, so I can change these sources. Oh, and I can put this over here so you can see. See how I'm cycling through things. There's my camera. Here's this shared screen, which is reporting as vmix output 1. And then this is also vmix output 1. So now if you kill it, you get an error message. And what I want to do here, in order to avoid that error issue, is I want to create a button, a feedback, but also an action button that is an internal. And, yeah, that is, connection is right. vmix internal, yoink, and set connection enable. And it will be a toggle button. So step 1, step 2. And we'll say connection. I want this to be studio monitor for my vmix machine. And enable false. Or just enable toggle, I guess. Yeah, enable toggle, that's fine. And I also want to change the way it looks so that it will provide me with feedback. I'm going to change the background color to our NDI color. That's not that one. It is this one, right? Yeah. And this is going to say vmix machine. Is that too long? No. STU studio monitor. And then feedback, we're going to say connection status. Based on connection status of, oh, whoops, that's bird dog. Cancel. Internal connection status. This one. I want this to be vmix studio monitor. Okay. And based on it being connected, I don't want the context to be that. I want it to be like a light green so that I can confirm that it's either on or off. Now vmix is closed, or studio monitor is closed, so we're going to apply and see if our toggle works. Okay, so the connection is now off. Okay, so I have a little yellow asterisk, right? It doesn't launch studio monitor. It just turns on and off the connection. So, yeah, it's flashing like there's an error. Okay, so I can shut that off, and then it's not going to monkey around with things. Now, why is it white? I didn't ask you to do that. Properties, probably the default context. Yes, it is. Background color. So green, yeah. So then if I launch Studio Monitor, right, then it won't be like constantly giving me errors. If I launch Studio Monitor, then, whoops, I have to hit apply. Then I can turn on the source, and now we're up and running. So that's what I wanted to see. And then I can change it, NDI camera, and I got to figure out why that's saying vmix output 1. All right, so now we've got this how we want it. We can copy and paste. And we're going to say PC, because that's what I call the other machine. And we are going to just change the actions to be this Studio Monitor PC instead. Okay, good. And then feedback, we're also going to change it to PC. So now they're both running. And then if, oh, I'm going to hit apply. So then if both of those are off, we can power them down. And we're not monitoring those inside of buttons anymore. And then I can also turn them on. Now, one other item that might be kind of nice is to see if I could open the program. You know, is that possible? So if I add a function, so they're currently, let's just do this. Let's turn off their connections, right? If I add an action and say, oh, what do we got here? Like a trigger. It'll be an internal command. Take one or more routes. Yeah, there may be a way. I think I had it in Companion where I would press a button and it would open a program. And I think active step index, set variable, set workflow, set a variable in a workflow. No workflows, no variables. All right, I will look and see how to do that, because if studio monitors are off, right, it would be nice to fire them up by the press of a button. And then, yeah, that would be easy peasy. Now you notice that here too, the properties is the default should be set to green. Apply. I wish there was a way for me to move that little, it's like a little, warning thing there, but you can't have it all. And but it probably is. I'm just not paying attention. Yes, please demonstrate all the ways to screw it up. Every single one. No problem. You've come to the right show. Good stuff. All right. Here is here's a good little view. Now, because the fade and cut buttons are in a specific spot on the main screen, I'm actually going to move them to that spot on all of my screens, because then it will feel like, first of all, I'll get familiar with where they are on the yoink and yoink. Yeah, that way they're all in the same place every time I jump around and jump around, jump up, and get down. They're all always in the same. Oh, not on lights. Let's fix the lights. Cut, fade, boom, done. All right. So now we're all the same. So then it'll always be that spot on all screens, with the exception of sound effects.
Good news, everyone!
Mostly because, I just go there to play a sound effect and come back. So the home screen and every other screen has it. You've probably noticed, too, that I have my start and stop return feed listed on my main screen. And that's on purpose. That's because I want that to be more of a status, right? So I want to have a live status of that all the time, especially when I'm sitting here and not using Connect. I want to be sure that I can see what's going on, but also turn them off if they're on by accident or I forgot to turn them off or something like that. They don't need to run all the time. The encoder on the studio doesn't need to run all the time. So that is very handy. And now it's kind of laid out how I want. It's color-coded. I could even remove the titles on this one, to be honest with you, because it makes sense, right? The color code says vMix up in the top right-hand corner. Now, on the other screens, when we jump to the NDI screen or we jump to the audio screen, I'd like them to be labeled. But we didn't even talk about the audio screen. So VLC is up and running, and I have a way to report that back, right? Same way, check if the connection is functioning, and if it is, great. And partially because the effects run on VLC, and so if I turn it off on the effects computer, it shuts it down. Like I get basically a readout saying VLC is not running. So then it's a good little reminder that like, oh, that's why the effects aren't running. And if I open VLC, it comes right back. Well, I also use VLC on the computer that generates the music. And so if for some reason it packs up or stops working, I'll be able to see it here on the screen as well. And these two buttons I might copy and paste over to the main screen, because I use them for pretty much every production, music and sound effects. They'd be good to like glance down and see that they're running. But the other piece is ProPresenter. On my work machine, which is a Mac Mini, which is sitting inside my server rack here, it also uses this fourth screen. And if it's up and running, then I want feedback saying that it is open like, or connected in this instance, right? And so that's all this is. It's just a feedback loop saying, oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, yeah. The current status. What's the connection status of ProPresenter? And if it's connected, then it should read back that it's connected. If I close it, it'll shut it down and say off or something like that. But I actually do some recordings of services here in my office. And so I use next slide, previous slide quite often. I don't use any of the timers, anything like that, which is something that we have at the soundstage, which I need to go there. I think I'm headed there today, actually. I need to go there and finish doing the button installation over there. And then maybe next week I'll show you that one. But that one's, I'm actually only changing that one to buttons because it looks nicer. I'm not really changing it because of buttons for any other reason than it looks cleaner and makes more sense. So same idea as what I'm planning on, what I have here in the shop. But there's a vMix section, ProPresenter, audio, sound effects. There is a lighting tab, an NDI, which now that I'm looking at this, all right, I'm going to change this style to this one because I want them all to be the same on this screen. It doesn't make any sense for them to be different. So context background, we can turn that off and do feedbacks. It's kind of nice that Bird Dogs is green, but whatevs. And then this one as well. There. So now it all kind of coincides with when I press the NDI tab. These are the NDI functions. And Studio Monitor is on, so I could turn this one on, and it would report that it's functioning, but the other one is off, so I'll still get an error. And then I can conveniently then change that source to whatever I want. Now, you'll notice, last thing here, you'll notice that this thing is full, this text, and I don't want that. So can I go even smaller on this text? It doesn't actually change the text if you select a different font size. When you are, yeah, it doesn't change it. So unfortunately, on the Stream Deck, when this source is picked, it shows, you know what? This is the feedback button, right? Sources select on the PC. If it's selected as vMix 1 out, do this. If it's selected as 1, do that. If it's selected as this, we can change this to say, vMix comp screen. Okay, so now it's still too big, so I'm going to change the font size down. Font size to small. Apply. Nope. Oh, text wrap. That's maybe why it's doing that. Apply. Whoa. And then screen or text size smaller. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now it reports correctly. And I'm going to change this color and this color. Oh, you know what? Don't change the colors from here on in. Don't change the colors. You don't have to do that anymore. Okay. So vMix comp. Now we need to figure out what is going on here. So instead of this, you can tell it when you're on this, just say vMix output, right? Come on. So that's what I want it to say. And don't change the color. When you're on this one, camera NDI. And don't change the color. And don't change the color here. And change this to, what did I say? vMix comp screen? vMix comp screen. And yeah, extra small. So let's fire up Studio Monitor. And let's make the connection. Okay, and now it says vmix screen comp screen, which is correct. If I press this button, oh, I got to apply here. Apply. All right, so vmix output 1, correct. NDI camera, correct. Full screen, vmix computer screen 3, correct. Okay, so this one's working just fine. Then the second one is screen 3, correct. Output, correct. Camera, correct. The only other thing that I need to change is this size needs to be extra small to coincide with the rest. Boom. So those are now operational as I expect them to be. And you can, of course, then extend that to add as many sources as you want. You know, if you have NDI sources, cameras, whatever, that are constantly functioning, then the other thing that I need to put here, hang on. Open and then turn off the connection. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Apply. We already applied. All right, so it's very handy. I love the tactile feedback that you get. I mean, you get this in Companion, right? But the way that it looks, and you can pretty much customize all the fields. I really like the color banner at the top and then the description of the button below. That works really well. It looks really good, and it works really well. So, you know, in the future, if I get to the place where I'm building a module and I have multiple modules connected, then I don't have to, I can just set those modules each to each of these. You know, I don't necessarily have to have pages. I can just set one module per screen. So what am I up to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screens, essentially. 7 if I was going to have like a notification one in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that'd be kind of a neat idea. But I probably need a 3D printer or something so that I could put them all together, wire them all together. I don't know. I could make something. There are options. I'm looking forward to this new office because it's a blank slate. I don't have to move into a space and make it work for me. It's basically going to be a rectangle, and I get to make it whatever I want it to be. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Pretty excited about that. Okay, folks, it is 11:36 Central Time right here, so I need to jet and get on with it. So thanks for coming along for this adventure into buttons. Buttons, basic. I won't say 2.0 because that's a programming term, but yeah, this rabbit hole that now I'm set up the way that logically in my brain it makes sense. I haven't decided on what else I need, but you know, there are other connections that I am using. I just haven't really figured out how I want to use them. So there's a Netgear 4250 module that is here, and the actions that you can take is cycle PoE, reboot the switch, and set power. And then there are some other variables, what ports are active, CPU. Like this could be your reporting stuff, feedback, PoE, is it enabled, status link on certain. So I have a 4250, you know. I'm curious what buttons I could create with that. So if we just sudo make a button here and go to actions and say, go to the library, Netgear 4250, just 3. There are just 3 options, which is set PoE, power cycle, or reboot the switch. So it's not a lot. There's also Zen NDI router, which I'm not using, but I did connect that because I was like, oh, well, I'm using the new audio thing. And then the other one that I'm not really using is, oh, I thought there was a third one. Is it just turned off? Hang on here. Don't save. No, they're all, no, they're all here. So I thought I had one more. But anyways, onward and upward. Oh, the X32. That's what it is. So X32 has a whole bunch of stuff, right? And that's my main soundboard that is generally over here on this computer while we're doing a show. And I typically have it set like this. This and this. Okay, so you can see that I have my digital board sitting here. but I have an X32, and there are tons of things and variables in here. The thing that I can't seem to figure out is I want like metering, and I'm not too sure if that's an option. There are 104 actions to set here, but I kind of want meters on my Stream Deck, in particular, my Bus 2, which is my microphone input into my computer. So Bus 2 is mic only. I want that meter, and I don't see anything faders. I don't see these numbers adjusting at all while I'm talking. They all say infinite, infinite, infinite. Meter, if I put in bus, is that an option? But like I want some real-time feedback. Fader bus, is that 0, which is correct? If I change that just a bit, doesn't change there. Like it should, right? It should feedback right away. So I'm not too sure if that's real. There's no fader bus 11. Yeah. Doesn't appear that there is like live metering available in here. Because I should see something changing on these variables. I don't know. Maybe I'm feedback. Is there a insert destination change based on screen state? Can I search? No. So, what's going on here? Oh. What? Okay, so we have 7763 saved. Variables. All right, are we getting meter, bus? Am I getting anything back now? Let me change this from 0 down. No. So see, like I feel like that should be live. This should be live, right? And it doesn't appear to be feeding back any sort of live data like that. And it would make sense if it wasn't communicating to it that mix bus 5, mix bus only. See, it's just a name. Mix bus 2. So if I go here, anything reading back bus fader 1, anything reading back audio metering, which is what I want. And it doesn't appear that there's anything like that. So that's a shame. Mix bus 2 meters? No. Fade to matrix. Yeah, because I would love to. I've seen it where you can actually like create 2 buttons to work together. And so you can extend the meter all the way up. And then you can use that as like a volume button up and down and whatever. Which is kind of a cool idea. But I don't see any of that options here. So yeah, X32 has lots to choose from. Just not necessarily like if you have an LCD screen feedback device, you want to be able to do things with it and also get live data feedback, which is being sent out from the mixer. So I'm not too sure why it's not connecting right away. But anyways, all good. So we should say farewell, and we'll maybe go again next week. Take care of yourselves. I've got a busy week coming up. Fall break is next week, and we were going to go away, but I think we're going to stay home because the garage is being built next week. So we should be here for that, and I have to pay them checks and stuff like that too. So we're going to be around, and I'll do a show next Thursday. My kids and wife will be home next week, but all good. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, and I'm looking forward to progress, which is what today's show is all about. And yeah, it's been a real deal. So take care of yourselves out there, everybody. Hopefully you are looking forward to the weekend, which is starting tomorrow. And in the meantime, We will check in with you next week, probably same time, same place, right here on YouTube and over on Twitch. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Bye.
Let's go.